Little Giant, Big Trouble. The summer season was in full swing on the Skarloey Railway. Skarloey, Reneus, Sir Handel, Peter Sam, Rusty, Duncan, Duke, Bertram, Ivo Hugh, and Smudger were all hard at work. Mr. Percival, the narrow gauge controller, was impressed with the efforts that the little engines were making, but he sensed that they could do it with a little more help. One morning, Ivo Hugh was being fired up for his morning train when Mr. Percival came to see him. "I've acquired a new engine from the mainland to help out during the summer period," said Mr. Percival. "His name is Little Giant, but he's quite a different sort of engine. You'll need him later today." "Just as long as he's really useful, I'll be happy to accept his help," said Ivo Hugh. Mr. Percival smiled and sent the old engine on his way. But Mr. Percival had his own doubts. "Sir Topham has always told me he's struggled with the new arrivals in the past," he said to himself. "I just hope I can deal with the Little Giant. He's not like the other engines I've had on my railway." And still deep in his thoughts, Mr. Percival walked away. During the summer season, a transfer yard was built. This was a sort of platform where Sir Topham Hatt's engines could bring passengers and cargo to the little engines. There were two platforms, one for the standard gauge engines and the other for narrow gauge, with a steam-powered crane in between. Stepney was the first engine to test at the transfer yards, and was surprised to find a yellow engine waiting, but he was amazed at the engine style. One end of the locomotive was looking around anxiously, while the other end seemed confident to be on the railway. "Hello there," greeted Stepney. "Who are you?" "We're Little Giant," boasted the confident end of the engine. "We've been brought here to help out over the summer," the nervous end quivered. "I've never seen an engine like you before," said Stepney. "No one has," said the confident end of the Little Giant. "We're going to prove that we're the most useful engine this railway is ever going to have. Now, if you'll excuse us, we've got work to do." "Yeah, goodbye," stammered the nervous end, and Little Giant was off and away before Stepney could even say goodbye. Duncan and Ivo Hugh were taking on coal and water at the yards. Little Giant glided in. "Why, hello there," greeted Ivo Hugh. "You must be Little Giant." The confident end of the giant smiled, with a smug look on his face. "Why, yes, we are," he said grandly. "We're here to help your railway during the summer, aren't we?" Yes," stammered the nervous end. "We'll do what we can." "You're quite a unique engine," said Duncan. "I'm actually impressed." "Why, thank you," replied the confident end of the Little Giant. "We'll prove ourselves. We are the strongest engine ever, and we will do what we can to keep your railway going throughout the summer." "Oh, what he said," quivered the nervous end. "Now then," said the coveted-ended little giant. "We've got work to do. We will catch you all later. Goodbye." And with that, Ivo, Hugh, and Duncan watched as Little Giant puffed away without even taking on coal and water. "I've got a bad feeling about him," said Ivo Hugh. "It's worse than I made it sort of handle," exclaimed Duncan. And for once, he was right. Later that day, Little Giant was making their way up to the coaling plant. They had been asked by the narrow gauge controller to collect freight cars of coal and deliver them across the villages. They met Sir Handel and Peter Sam at the junction. "You must be the new engine," said Sir Handel. "Are you heading over to the coaling plant right now?" asked Peter Sam. "We certainly are, my blue and green friends," smiled the coveted-ended little giant proudly. "You best be careful," said Peter Sam. "There are loads of cars to deliver," added Sir Handel. "We'll manage," boasted the coveted-ended little giant. "Won't we, my friends?" I don't know." The nervous end quivered. How many cars are there?" 22, replied Sir Handel and Peter Sam together. "Can you manage them all? Shall we send another engine?" "We're completely fine, our lads," said the coveted-ended little giant. "You two just leave it to us. We'll have that train delivered in 2 toots of a whistle." "Well, I wouldn't say that," the nervous end whimpered. And before Sir Handel Peter Sam could say anything else, Little Giant was darting up the line to the coaling plant. "He's going to be in trouble," said Peter Sam. "I know he will," added Sir Handel, and they were right. Just because Little Giant forgot to top up with coal and water, after an encounter with Duncan and Ivo Hugh, the challenge of pulling 22 loaded freight cars of coal was going to be tough. Little Giant thundered and snorted up the line, but the freight cars clattered and groaned behind them. "Steady, you two," said the driver. "We aren't rushing anything." "Well, that's what you think," snorted the covered-ended little giant. "I want to get this train delivered in one piece. Maybe we should have topped up," the nervous end called. "Nonsense," said the coveted engine. "We've dealt with heavier trains in the past. Besides, then there was trouble." Little Giant was just passing Tea-Room Station when he found himself going slower and slower. The coveted end was not willing to give up. He dug his wheels into the rails and pulled with all his might, but it was no use. Eventually, Little Giant came to a stop, and the last 5 freight cars barely passed the platform. "Well, that's just great," huffed the covered-ended Little Giant. "I knew this would happen. You know what? If you had told me to top up with cold water, this would not have happened." Would you be quiet?" the nervous end snapped. "This is all your fault. You were so high and mighty, and now we're stuck here." Both ends of the locomotive bickered and argued furiously, even when Rusty arrived to take the train on. They were still arguing. They were soon kept quiet when they were greeted by Mr. Percival. Later that day, Rusty returned to the yard, where the little engine slept. Duncan was on relief, while Sir Handel and Peter Sam were waiting for their next trains. "Oh, hello, Rusty," greeted Sir Handel. "Where's Little Giant?" asked Peter Sam. "I'm afraid he's been sent back to the other railway," said Rusty. "Mr. Percival just couldn't handle him." "He's not the kind of engine he didn't think would be useful to us," said Sir Handel. "The nervous end of the locomotive would have been a nice addition if it was just one engine," added Peter Sam. "Good riddance to the both of them," grumbled Duncan. "I hope we will never get an engine like that again." "We might do in the future, Duncan," cautioned Rusty. "You never know." Without another word, Rusty went to collect his maintenance train. Sir Handel, Peter Sam, and Duncan looked at each other. But of course in the far future, the narrow gauge railway did get another engine with one face at the end. I'll bet you know who I'm talking about.